All right, I want to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education of Murphysboro Unit District 186. And Mrs. Hines, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Boehm?
Here.
Mr. Beavers?
Here.
Mrs. Brazel?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mrs. Zivaldi? Mr. Rungy?
Here. What's she called?
Mr. Mike.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bain, will you lead us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into it, I want to welcome all the high school students who are here tonight. I think make sure you get an agenda. Anybody sitting at this table can sign it for you to make sure that you get your credit. And I don't know if you get 2 credits since there was 2 meetings or not, but, oh, there's a bunch of yeses going on. Okay. All right, next item is the approval of the agenda. Dr. Evers, are there any changes or additions to this agenda?
We're good?
Then I will accept them.
No. We have one? Are we gonna do the MOU?
I
Did it come in?
I just sent, I haven't
Yes.
gotten it yet, but hopefully by the time we go into closed session, you might know.
Or come out,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Let's keep it on. The MOU with the Teamsters regarding work during inclement weather. So
Okay.
there were some provisions that were not really outlined formally, so just kind of getting that done before weather comes.
Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the possibility of it changing based upon whether or not we get the information from Teamsters.
We've been working on it for the last several days, so.
So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of District 186 regular board meeting minutes dated November the 15th, 2022, Tri-County minutes dated October the 12th of 2022, Tri-County bills for December of 2022, applications and reports, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of District 186 bills for December of 2022. I'll open the floor to any questions from the board to Mrs. Bush. Hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So.
Second? Second. Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Zivaldi? Yes. Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7 is communications, and I understand we have 3.
We have 3. The first one is from Samantha Poffenbarger. It's kind of a hit and miss, but it just says, I have been given the opportunity to work 1 job instead of 2. I'm really sorry, but at the end of the day, I have to do what's best for my family.
Position.
Cook.
It's a resignation?
Yep.
She's a cook, yeah.
So she's resigning?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
then
all
I'll-
Georgia got.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, opposed, motion carries.
And the other one's kind of the same way. It's from Latasha Leisure, who's a lunch monitor at General. It was a verbal conversation between her and Georgia that said she was quitting, and the conversation basically ended, and that was that.
Then I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next one's from Audrey Stewart at General. Dear Dr. Evers and school board members, I'm writing to inform you of my intent to take board-approved maternity leave. The due date of my twins is April the 16th, 2023. It is my plan to work until my due date, but due to unforeseen medical circumstances, it will be a day-by-day basis. It is my intent to use sick disability time for my leave. In hopes of still making it to my due date, my anticipated return date is the beginning of the 23-24 school year. Ms. Finke is aware of my situation, and I will continually provide her updates throughout the rest of my pregnancy. I will work to prepare as much as I can for my potential substitute. Please contact me with any questions. Thank you, Audrey Stewart.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept that maternity leave.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We want to wish all of them the best, and especially Mrs. Stewart and her twins. Next is fishbowl items, and we have several, and I'm even going to read one tonight. So I'll start.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. See, I don't do this often. Thanks to Lynn Navarra, MHS custodial staff for hosting the St. Andrews versus Murphysboro Middle School boys basketball game. The hospitality was greatly appreciated, and that's from the middle school athletic directors and St. Andrews athletic directors, and that came from Holly Thompson.
This is from the desk of William Flanagan, who is the Secretary Treasurer for Egyptian Past Commanders Club. Dear friends, on behalf of the President and Board of Directors at The Haven, I would like to thank you for the generous donation of $715.70 from your Veterans fundraiser to The Haven. Even though the work and rewards at The Haven seem endless, from the weekly upkeep and regular maintenance to the ever enjoyable visits by our veterans, the dreams continue. Donations from thoughtful people like you are so very much appreciated. Thank you for your support.
This one says, Dear Jeff, I'm assuming Mr. White, Jeff White and all other helpers, thank you for hosting the Retired Teachers Luncheon. I think I speak for all of us when I say it was a delightful activity. I enjoyed seeing some of the people that I spent a lot of time with. I also enjoyed hearing from those who are still on the front lines. The facility is beautiful. The students were very helpful and respectful. You are doing a great job with these young people. I am proud to have been part of MHS. I also must mention that the meal and service were wonderful. Please share my thanks with all who helped organize and implement this event. May you all be blessed this joyous Christmas as you celebrate the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Simply blessed, Mary Lou Hickam.
It was a wonderful day, and the Education Foundation also made a donation to the cause, so to help with the food costs for the luncheon. So that they're going to try to do it with retirees in different buildings each year. So this is the first of a series. So.
This one's coming from Miss Michelle Crothers. Crothers School has been granted a $500 Whole Kids Foundation renewal grant to restore the observation bee hive. Plans are being made to redesign the hive and install it in the spring.
Excellent. That's a wonderful thing that's going on.
That's pretty
there.
cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Ms. Bartnett for being selected as one of the 10 winners for the Egyptian Electric Cooperative $500 Classroom Empowerment Grant. Her class project is Community Outreach and Pollinator Habitat Restoration. This project involves planting milkweed and wildflower stems that will be planted at Riverside Park and donated to the non-for-profit Innovations in STEM Education. Overall, students will be demonstrating integrity, accountability, innovation, and commitment to the community by being role models and educating others about pollinator habitat restoration and the endangered species status of the monarch butterfly population. Winning applications were selected based on creativity, practicality, relativeness, and number of students impacted. So congratulations again to Ms. Bartnett and the MMS on a job well done. Beth Collins.
Excellent. Any others? Okay, we will move to the next item, which is a Freedom of Information Act request, which there was one from Local Labs requesting basically a lot of information about board members. Is anybody familiar with this company?
They're a warehouse for public information, and then media will occasionally contact them for some information on certain bodies.
Okay, so there's no solicitation that they do of any type?
Not that I've heard.
Okay. The only thing I would ask is if any board member gets solicited from this company, to let Dr. Evers and myself know.
I think they're a clearinghouse.
Okay. I was not familiar with them, so thank you for that. Next item is the recognition of the audience. The Board of Education welcomes the audience to make public or employee comments. The board has set aside time in the agenda specifically for this purpose. Pursuant to Board Policy 2.230, each speaker shall be limited to a 5-minute presentation. Please be aware that while this is the time for the public to express its opinions and/or concerns, The board may or may not comment regarding public presentations. If a matter of public comment warrants discussion or action of the Board of Education, such discussion or action will be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Are there any public concerns or comments? Are there any employee concerns or comments? Very good, then we will move into old business. The first item is the adoption of the fiscal year 2022 tax levy enclosure number 1, which we just had the presentation of prior to this meeting. And I will entertain a motion to approve that tax levy as presented.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
No.
Mr. Ruggie?
Yes. Motion carries. Now we'll move into new business. The first item is the presentation of the 2022-2023 seniority list. You had them at your spot at the table when you came in tonight. This is informational only, and it will be, we'll approve it. It'll be posted, and then we will approve it next month. Item number 2 is the press policy update number 110, which you received via email. Again, this will be on review until January for our next meeting. And again, this is nothing but informational. Item number 3 is the permission to bid 1 van and 1 SUV, and I think, here we go again.
Yeah, the 2 10-passenger vans are not happening. So 1 8-passenger van, similar to like the Hondas that we have, and 1 SUV with 7,000 pounds or higher towing capacity. Just a basic SUV that can pull is what we're requesting in lieu of the 2 vans that we can't, the 10-passenger vans that we can't. The body length is just not right, the roof lines aren't right, and we just can't get them produced. So they really did try, but they just couldn't get them produced. So I'd rather not lose what we had already approved. So we're just modifying what we had requested before to 1 SUV and 1 8-passenger.
Questions from the board?
Do we anticipate the price being a lot higher for these?
I think the van may be commensurate, the SUV, you know, most of those baseline SUVs are, start mid-40s and go up to like 70 or 80, so I mean, I hope that they're not. You'll see in the next, you know, the maintenance truck that we're quoting with the state bids, with what we need, you know, it looks like a big number, but that van has not been replaced since, what was the year of the van, do you remember, Taylor?
The van or the truck?
Sorry, the truck and the next
The
item?
truck's in 1998.
98, so I mean, we're gonna hopefully have these, whether it's our 8-passenger and our SUV for, you know, decades to come, so.
All right.
Anyone else?
I'm trying to 2-in-1
I
these.
got you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the permission for administration to bid 1 van and 1 SUV.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
Mrs. Hines.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggie?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 4 is the permission to purchase a maintenance truck, which we kind of discussed a little bit on the previous question.
And it will allow us to have 1 more plow too, so some of the features, it'll have an extended cab so that if it's used for like Crimson or for football when they have those same contests weekends, but it'll, you know, meet multiple functional needs when we have those double weekends, but it'll be used primarily by our maintenance department. And for snow removal, right now, we have just one blade, so this will give us a second blade, so that's why when you look at the cost, it, you know, that feature alone is a $10,000 upgrade, almost $11,000 upgrade, so.
Questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion to approve the permission for administration to purchase a maintenance truck based upon the state bid contract. Second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggie?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the approval of New American Fidelity Agent, which is a new broker for us.
It's an existing one, it's just we're no longer tethered with the trust to them, so this is having them stand alone as not part of the Egyptian trust.
Yeah, so different broker, same plan, same rates, just different people we're dealing with that will help us. They'll be the same people that come to the school, to all the different schools to do new employee enrollment every year. So, not really a big change.
$3 an employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
$3 per month per,
Okay.
so, for the HRA, but that's something that we, that's a kind of a separate thing from, the new employee enrollment. When we did the HRA in 2018, they managed that for us. I mean, that's a huge deal, for $3 a head a month, so.
Who is the broker?
It's actually the Illinois Association of School Business Officials.
Okay.
So it's the same kind of agreement that we have with like with our insurance. Some of those ISBO, ISA, they're like endorsed groups within those education organizations. So that's Illinois ISBO has vetted them and across the state. So
So who's the-
supports them.
Who's the individual?
It's not
There's no
individual, it's the
individual?
association. And so any money that they get, the organization gets, goes towards professional development for the state of Illinois, for members.
Other questions from the board? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggie?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the approval of SOAR, S-O-A-R housing. Dr.
We will be
Evers.
housing one ROE program at the middle school. The COPE SOAR program. COPE students are the students who are in lieu of expulsion type of students. Those are still going to be housed over at the Shoemaker location that the ROE operates. With what we've seen from the last 2 years post-pandemic, their needs for space for COPE students has gotten to be so that they can't serve their SOAR students at the same location. SOAR are students who are chronic truants or kids who are behind in credit, so they're credit recovery kids. So this will be a non-behavior classroom, similar to what we have with like Choices and other leased spaces. We're hoping it'll be a good program. Right now, there's 4 to 6 students in the program. They can go up to 15. But it's just for kids who are off track for graduation, but these are non-behavior students. Sherry Shimp is the principal of record for that program, and it's under Cheryl Graff's jurisdiction as ROE superintendent. So they will be paying us $1,000 a month, similar to what the pre-K lease agreement is. So
Are these kids just all the kids or just kids with IEPs?
no, these are non-IEP kids. This is the regular ed alternative school, so it's the regional safe schools. So we said we'd give it a try, so we'll do it for this semester and
And that's at the middle school?
at the middle school.
They had space available?
They do up on the 6th floor, so they're getting a space ready, and we're just gonna hopefully be good stewards and help these kids get back on track. So it really does serve, I want to say 24 school districts in our region, both of those programs, the COPE and the SOAR program. We won't ever house the students with behaviors, those kids on expulsion, but the students who just have lost their way with credits or have attendance issues. It's at least worthy of trying to be a good neighbor.
Age, range.
Typically middle and high school students,
Okay.
so. And the only time that they'll be really with our population, they come from, they get dropped off around 7:30 and they are done with their program at 2 o'clock. So they'll drop off by the cafeteria. Those 4 to 6 students that they have right now will eat breakfast with their teacher teaching aide, go up to their classroom, stay there all day. They're gonna have a little bit, I think, earlier lunch agreement, and then, well, we're gonna see. We're gonna give it a try. So, I mean, I know we've been open, at Carruthers to some of those transitional rooms in the past, and so we're gonna give it a try and hope for the best, so that we can be good stewards of education to our other districts in the area. So,
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Herner, any concerns?
Good to go. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to approve The SOAR housing.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
Mrs. Hines.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries, and before we go into closed session, are the high school students coming back?
They usually don't have to stay for closed
That's
session.
fine, I was just wondering.
Yeah, he doesn't require you guys to come back to closed session.
Perfect. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session, and as I said earlier, any of you high school students, anybody sitting here can sign your agenda.
I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 2 of the Open Meetings Act 5, Illinois Compiled Statutes 120/2C, to review the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity.
In a second?
Do you need the
Does that
interview?
cover? Yeah, thank you.
Do you need the interview in that motion?
Was it not?
Did you get it?
Did you get it?
She
I
has,
I
she has.
have a copy, we hadn't just, because they hadn't voted on it, but the text I got
He needs a
is,
negotiation.
So the collective
they're recommending.
bargaining,
Okay, so that'll encompass that?
you don't
Yeah.
have to read it exactly, as long as we state that that's,
That's what you're gonna do?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The collective bargaining piece as well.
Number 2, collective bargaining matters between
Yeah.
administration and a collective bargaining unit of the district.
There you go.
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carried.